Randy Osei. I'm an entrepreneur. Um, I have three businesses, all up and running currently, and a nonprofit. Um, my main business is Rose Management,
Mhm.
creative marketing and branding agency. Uh, the next business is Atlas 365, which I'm the co-founder of.
Okay.
A industrial hemp and blockchain tech company using industrial hemp to improve wellness, elevate wellness. Uh, and last business recently launched as Athlete Technology Group, which is a media and events company focused on uh, generating the next generation of athlete and tech entrepreneurs. So bringing those two
Amazing.
collaboration and then scaling businesses across borders.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. So what was your baby? What was the first one that came into fruition for you?
So Rose K, I birthed Rose October 2015. Atlas was birthed 2017, and Athlete Tech Group was birthed 3 weeks ago, two, three
Okay.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Profit was birthed November 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, shout out to the Mega City family.
Yes. I was gonna say, yeah, people are gonna come on and shout you out. And I love that. That's why I like doing these IG lives as opposed to doing like your traditional Zoom interviews because there's that interaction with your people, and now there's Pilates people and yoga people and all these different people that are from that movement community that are going to see what you do and just glean wisdom, even though it's a different industry. There's a lot of truths that transcend, and that's why I wanted to have you on. And likewise for your basketball people, I work with basketball people, like working with guys in the past. So I really feel like there is an intersection of what we do that needs to be celebrated, in terms of just helping our communities, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
man. So now I first connected with you, like I said, with South Common, but then also more recently you came up when I saw you on that BMO podcast
Mm.
for small business. Can you just talk about that and what you guys were highlighting on that podcast?
Funny enough, I got asked to be a part of that campaign just before COVID hit,
Okay.
and the big thing there was, I think BMO wanted to really support entrepreneurs and small business owners.
Hmm.
Uh, then COVID hit, and that podcast, that campaign became even more important because
Yes.
small businesses took hits due to COVID and had a hard time staying alive. Some small businesses died, and
Hmm.
it, it, COVID's been a challenging, controversial, difficult time for a lot of people. Uh,
Yes.
and people that have put their life savings into their businesses are probably feeling it more than anybody else because now you see a lot of businesses being put out of business. I think I was reading some stats last week. I think it was like 42% of small businesses that were owned by Black people
Hmm.
disappeared. I
Yes.
believe it's like 17% for the white community. So
Yeah.
um, with that podcast and that campaign, my original goal was to support all small business owners as COVID hit and um, as the campaign went on, the Black Lives Matter movement began to really take off, and I
Hmm.
to really think about my positioning within this campaign simply because I was the only Black person that was part of that campaign, and uh,
Yes.
when I said, hey, look, I'd like to think sometimes that I could be seen as a leader in my community, somebody like myself within this campaign. Uh, my voice may be magnitude, or multiplied times five, simply because of what's going on right now. So,
Yes. Yeah.
uh, BMO heard me. BMO listened. We had to make a minor adjustment in terms of how we pushed that campaign out because of everything that was going on. So
Yes.
it was a pretty successful campaign. We had a lot of people listen to the podcast. Great photo shoot. I think I really showed my model side, which was great.
Nice.
but it was fun. It was definitely a fun campaign, and I don't know the metrics of what the campaign did or how many small businesses were touched, or what people
Yes.
earned. All I hear is when people like you bring it up and like, hey, we saw your podcast and we loved it. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like that means
Yeah.
people are hearing it, but I really don't know, how well
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. So
Yes. And and the what was the guy's, I can't remember the guy's name who hosted it. Mike, I believe it was Michael
yeah,
something.
well,
Yeah, and he asked some hard questions, not of you specifically, but of small business owners with you in the room, in terms of like, what is your focus? If you have so many different things that you're focusing on, how do you do one of them really well? Like, is it better to have laser focus or to kind of have a shotgun approach? And I liked how he was saying that because even in my industry, I could say, okay, well, I do Pilates, but then I do personal training, but then I have this podcast. And we have all these different things. And we have our hands in so many different pots, and even things are unrelated that I have going on. What's your advice to small business owners who are just chock full of vision and want to run in 9 directions at the same time?
I think it starts with the person. On that podcast, Michael was telling me I was doing too much and I had my hands in too many things, and that's his opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ultimately, I get up and I spend my hours how I choose to spend my hours. But it really depends on the person, man. I don't think there's no cookie cutter approach to a small business or having multiple initiatives. I think it's one of those things that you make time for what's important, and everything, as long as you understand everything's going to fall on you and
Yes.
you just need to deliver. That's all it is, right? When I sit down and I tell people, I have three businesses all that are all running at the same time. They all do different things, but they kind of intersect in a great way. And then I have this nonprofit, applying for grants and government money to continue to have impact in our communities. And people are like, well, how do you do this, and so on and so forth. I figured out something that works for me. It's
Yes.
I don't expect it to be perfect, but it
Mm-hmm.
allows for me to um, do the things that I want. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's the biggest thing, is doing things that you want, right?
Yes. Yes.
My opinion on what I'm doing or how I do it or da 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 da. That's Michael's opinion. As an
Yes.
entrepreneur, you got to understand that people are going to understand your vision. People aren't going to understand your vision. But what you do
Yes.
was God gave you that vision. So
Mm-hmm.
you only see it the way that God's given it to you.
Yes.
I share my vision with you, and you can only see 80%. That's not my fault.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You can see, right? So,
Yes.
um, I don't, like I said, I don't think there's no cookie cutter approach to, having vision and wanting to create multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
I think within reason, Rose Management 2015.
Yes.
At Five was started in 2017. I
Yes.
was co-founder there. My best friend's the CEO there.
Mm-hmm.
My time really spent there. No, we figured out, communications and strategies that allow me to be most effective when Atlas 365 needs me. I can't work on Atlas 365 every single day,
Yes.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
I'm dedicating 5 to 10 hours a week to Atlas 365, but those 5 to 10 hours are impactful, and
Yes.
we're able to execute on a lot of things. Then it is what it is.
It is. It is. Yeah. Well,
We all have,
let's break that down just a little bit more too, right? I mean, like real talk. I mean, how do you actually balance out your week? Like to the minute with these things, like you said, like you like 5 hours to this. You may give like certain times to certain things, right? So, um, yeah, Gareth, I'll get to your comment in a second, but I just love to say, like, you just break that down a little bit more in terms of how do you physically divvy up your week to be able to do these things
yeah.
well in your way.
I don't. For me, I don't. I I could tell you what's happening within the next 7 days. After that, I don't know. Right. So
Yes. Yeah.
really focus on what's coming in the next week. I still put 6 month plans ahead and
Hmm.
plan put things ahead of me and start chasing them early. But every day, it's what is there to do, right?
Yes.
What are
Yes.
things? You can't see it here, but I have whiteboards behind me here.
Hmm.
I have another board up there that I write. I have my iPad right here that I take
Yeah.
Apple Pen. So like, my Apple Pen's right here. So I literally write on this every single day. So
Yes.
created a system for myself where, you know, for example, Rose Management, you know, we're consulting different companies on marketing and branding initiatives and PR and things like that. So I understand that that business drives as clients come in, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not in every day, right? After Technology Group, because that's a new company, I got to give that a lot more time, a lot more energy,
Yes.
just a lot more attention. You know, the nonprofit, Return to Love, community support. You know, we just got a grant from the city of Brampton for like $20,000. I
Fantastic.
spent in November. So I'm starting to plan that now without really like it doesn't, it's really hard to explain.
No, actually, you did a good job of that. 'Cause, I mean, if I was to summarize that, basically saying you're looking at a macro level and at a micro level. And I do it in a very similar way where I only look at 3 days. Like my days plan, I only look hard at 3 days. What do the next 3 days look like? And then tomorrow I look at the next 3 days, and then tomorrow I look at the next 3 days. But at the same time, I have stuff planned for next month and for the next 6 months, and I have a year and a half project. So on a macro level, those things are out there, those markers are there. But then I'm just trying to be efficient as I can with the next 3 days.
And to add to your point, we you know, I enjoy putting events together. I enjoy putting things together. And you know, in my mind, you know, I have 3 annual events. That's Innovate Her, which will happen spring, every spring.
Yes. Yeah.
That Athlete Tech Summit, which will happen every summer. And the Do Your Part Celebrity Game or the Do Your Part Conference, that's going to happen at the end of summer before kids go to school.
Okay.
So those are the 3 major things that I have to execute every year.
Yes.
So here, I'm talking to brands, I'm talking to influencers, I'm talking to stakeholders, I'm talking to different people as time goes on. And as time goes on, I'm just slowly building out plans. So Innovate Her is spring of next year.
Yes.
I already have a concept in my head and jot it down, right?
Yes.
So now it's literally finding the pieces that fit as we move forward.
Yes.
Instead of, you know, like,
That's
hey,
helpful.
months out. Nah, I've already started my work and, you know, figuring out where the pain points are as we move forward and bringing in people that kind of help us reach the goal. So
Yeah.
to your point, it's not necessarily how we get there or when we get there. It's what we do every day to get.
Those habits. There's a whole dialogue, if you want to kind of get philosophical for a moment, around not setting goals and instead establishing habits. Like I have, like one of my clients is a psychologist, and he's like, I hate goals. I hate people talking about goals. Goals are empty. Establishing habits and best patterns gets you to where you want to get to by virtue of those things, as opposed to saying, I'm going to set this goal. And I see some value in that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it goes both ways. I mean, if you're setting habits, your habits are to do what? Like, if I'm setting a habit of working out, why am I working out?
Yes.
What is, like, there has to be a goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. Well, that's it, right? I mean,
I think that you can set a goal, but don't focus on the goal. Focus on, that's how I look at it, right? So when COVID hit, I had a goal of, you know, dropping 15 pounds, right? I was like 205. I'm like 188 right now, 187. If I focused on dropping 15 pounds, that means I'm not going to eat today, and I'm not going to eat as much today because I know I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. So I'm trying to think of the fastest ways of losing 20 pounds as opposed to, let me eat better meals. Let me just get my workout in.
Yes.
If I do that every day, I'll get there. Right.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's a combination of both. Like, you could create these habits and put these things in our daily routines, but to get to where you still need to have a something. Just something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can have that's okay. So let me piece it together this way: objectives and habits. So the objective is lose 15 pounds. So my habit today is get better sleep, eat more vegetables, get some water, and don't eat junk food. So that my objective is to get to that point. So even if I forget about my objective, if I just check the box of getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, and having vegetables every day, by default, I'll hit that goal. But if I sit here obsessed about losing 15 pounds and do nothing about it, obviously I'll never get there, right? So yeah, it's just an interesting dialogue, and I like kind of putting it in different ways because sometimes that resonates with people in different ways to look at it, right? But you know, one of the things too that you said there, Randy, which I thought might be helpful for people in in the fitness industry, is to maybe to have some goal long term, or some some event that you want to set up towards. So instead of letting life happen to me every day, I could say, okay, I'm going to do a fundraising boot camp in December. So instead of me just thinking about just sludging through client after client day in, day out, now I have some objective to move towards, and then that forces me to draw, get more people in my boot camp every week, or to, be on social media more. Like I have something to chase after, like you have these different checkpoints in your year to chase after, which kind of influence how your day goes.
Absolutely. It's just kind of like when COVID hit. COVID hit, and a lot of people were just stuck. Like, all right, I'm at home.
Yeah.
I went through that, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
I was just like, damn, I got to do.
Yes. Yeah.
I brought my PlayStation from my office, brought it home. I bought Call of Duty and NBA 2K, and I never opened it. I bought it,
Yeah. Yes.
but never opened it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happened during COVID was, someone had asked me to be on an IG Live just like this, and I had never done IG Live until COVID hit.
Yes.
And I did it, and I had so much fun with it. And
Yes.
because I had fun, I was like, you know what? I want to create something like this around the athlete tech group. So we
Yes.
launched a Instagram live series with athletes talking entrepreneurship, sports, and culture. And we did that for 15 straight weeks.
Yes. Yes.
You talk about, objectives and daily habits. Now I know every Tuesday at 6 p.m. I have something to do.
Yes.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm getting my guests. We're getting our artwork together, putting our questions together. That just put me in a frame of mind. That gave me something to do when I really had nothing to do because the world had stopped.
Yes.
So going through that exercise really showed me, the importance of habits and goals and things like that. So, that to me, that was a perfect example of not knowing where this is going to go, but let's build something every day.
No doubt. No doubt.
Where, there's a couple of media companies that want to buy the podcast. And this just comes from wanting to just tell stories.
Yes. Right?
Yeah. I wasn't focused on turning Tech Summit Unplugged into a podcast or turning it into something. I just wanted to bring people together for a good conversation every Tuesday, 6 p.m., talk sports, entrepreneurship, culture. We talk The Last Dance. We talk Black Lives Matter. We talk, why some athletes retired and, how do they manage their time? How are they dealing with COVID and quarantine?
Yes.
Amazing content that was relevant.
Yes, just rich.
Very, very rich. And that has now turned into an opportunity that generates revenue. So
yeah,
I think to your point, well, I guess more so my point, I'm a big believer in having a goal, but not focusing on getting better every day.
Yes, absolutely. Some comments that came through here. Gareth Knock Fitness said, discipline daily habits before goals. 100%. And second one here is it says, goals are great checkpoints. Habits get you equipped to hit them and be better. Yes.
100%.
There's a question here. What are the steps to getting grants as big as 20K in the GTA?
Oh man, so the grant world it can be a complicated world. Most grants go to nonprofits, and you need at least 2 years of good financial standing, right? Because this is taxpayer.
Yes.
So when the government's giving you 20K, they need to know that, one, you're not going to take it and steal it. Two, they know you're going to deliver. Three, they want to make sure that you have impact. And for that, you report that 20K turned into 5 kids becoming entrepreneurs. So now Canada investing into entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So that's one. You just have to be up and running properly for at least 1 to 2 years. We've been fast tracked simply because we've executed. There's another way to put it. For example, that 20K we got from the city of Brampton. Most so there's 60 different organizations that receive money from the city of Brampton to run community organizations, right?
Okay. Yes.
The four funding streams were 1,250, 2,500, 5,000, 12,000, 20. Right? So the five
Okay.
funding out of the five funding streams, there were only four organizations that received the 20K. Out of the four, my organization was one. The other three have all been around for 5+ years.
Okay.
We only our second year in existence, but because we've been able to deliver at such a high level that the
Yes.
city's never seen before,
Yes.
all right, we need to move this organization up to the top. All right.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the goal really is to become grandfathered, where, next year we apply, we get it. Then the
Yes.
following years we don't have to apply because
Right.
great standing. So
Yes.
the thing with grants is, you just have to have your shit together. Like,
Yeah.
I think with COVID, a lot of people wanted to get grants and apply for this, apply for that. And one thing you realize is people had businesses that were not registered. They hadn't done their taxes in 3 years.
Yes.
All things are important, especially as a small business owner. Like,
Right. Right.
you need to take care of this stuff, not just because, you know, the Canadian government's giving out CEBA.
Mhm.
You can apply for that $40,000. You need to take care of these things because it puts you in good standing with the government. And as funding streams and all these opportunities come, you're ready to receive.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, that's wise. And then but you also mentioned something there, which I think, because you're doing it so well. Navigating the government and the grant system itself is a ton of reading and wisdom and having people around you, right? So, I mean, I think to just do your homework is underrated. Like you really have to understand the whole network, right?
100%, 100%. Especially, Brampton. Brampton, as much as people, give Brampton a hard time, if Brampton is this whatever negative comments people want to say about Brampton. Brampton's one of the most talented cities in Canada.
Hmm.
From number one pick in Anthony Bennett, Tristan Thompson, Tyler Ennis, Roy Woods, Jesse Reyes, Alyssa Cara, some NHL players. I believe there's a guy that came from, what's that movie? X-Men. There's a guy in X-Men that's from Brampton.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
talented people come from the city. Even MC Ebon, who just joined, another talented person, you know,
yes,
doing great things. So, seeing what Brampton has done and the people that have come out of Brampton, I'm looking at it like, okay, how do we give back to Brampton and match
yes,
it with purpose?
absolutely. Yeah. Love your passion for your city, man. Like that's, and
Not really just live here, so we're just
right.
trying to solve problems wherever we can.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I hear you on that, man. That's good. MC Ebo, who is he?
He's MC. He's probably one of Toronto's biggest MCs. He's from Brampton as well.
Good
Uh,
stuff.
he's really into like music and community and whatnot.
Yes.
Well,
Great, man. Yeah, I know, man. You're doing a great work. I love that connection you're having with the community. Now, can you talk a little more about your sports management, like your talent management, like working with athletes?
so I used to manage talent. I don't
Okay.
manage anymore. That ended in like 2018.
Okay.
So you want me to talk about back
Yeah,
then?
sure. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And just well, the transition. You have so many things on the go. So, like, talk about your just transition to focusing
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So I've managed NBA players such as Anthony Bennett, Don Maker, Dylan Brooks. Worked with a couple guys, Jordan Clarkson and a couple guys. And one thing I noticed, especially coming from with my marketing background, I wanted to create opportunities, endorsements, things of that nature. And as I began to grow and continue to grow in marketing, one thing that I noticed was, you know, just because you're an NBA athlete doesn't mean a brand's just going to pay you, right? You
Right.
need to fit within certain metrics. You need to be a certain age. You need to play within a certain city. Your audience needs to speak to a specific demographic. And uh,
Yes.
some of the athletes I was working with, like I was working very closely with Tim Hortons. I said, Tim Hortons, I know you guys are big into hockey and big into summer camps and da 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 da. I think you need to take a look at basketball. We have all of these Canadian kids coming. They're on their way.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think you guys need to take a look. So, at the time I was working with Dylan Brooks, and they were like, well, who's Dylan Brooks? So, I explained Dylan, who he is, where he's from, grew up in Mississauga, went to Father Henry Carr, big Canadian kid, plays Team Canada. So a bunch of check marks are checking off. They're like, oh, well, what NBA team does he play for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he plays in Memphis. I'm like, oh, you don't have any restaurants down there. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
So in that sense, I began to run into a lot of roadblocks.
Yes.
I think Cleveland has a Tim Hortons. Like Tim Hortons is sprinkled in small parts of the U.S.
Yes.
Predominantly in New York. Or, they're looking for someone that's part of a big market, right?
Yes.
Dealing with things. So for me, does it make sense to just work with Dylan and see if I can bring this Tim Hortons opportunity to him when I have all of these relationships on the table with all these different athletes and say, hey, Tim Hortons, what type of athlete are you looking for? And then let me go find the athlete that fits specifically. So for me, making that transition made a lot more sense as opposed to just working with one. And work with athletes could be very, very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
It's glorified babysitting. It's
yeah.
you're ensuring that this person is the best that they can be every day at what they do.
Yes.
So there's days where we're in the gym till 11 p.m. from 6. There's days we're doing community work and we're not getting paid. There's days where we're partnering with a charity organization. Like there's so much that happens within an athlete's life, and my value that I brought to the table, I felt somewhat boxed.
Okay.
One, and for me, it just made more sense to just kind of take a step back, maybe more so work with brands and help brands figure out which athletes they want to work with.
Yes, and work from that side forward.
So I had to change the business model a little bit. I mean, we still do work with a lot of professional athletes. I would say Rosé Management, 50% of our business is in and around athletes. The other 50%, we're building out marketing campaigns, digital marketing campaigns. I've been hired by the region of Waterloo on a digital marketing campaign to help them win a $50 million grant. I've been contracted by the city of Toronto on a project, the city of Brampton, Basil Box. We did a commercial shoot with Basil Box.
Fun, nice.
Worked with Raymond James, helped them with some digital marketing as well.
Great.
So yeah, I didn't want to just be boxed as athlete. No, marketing is marketing, right?
Absolutely.
Athlete is a product. How do you sell that product?
Yes.
How do you monetize that product? How do you brand that product? That's what I wanted to do more so in the corporate world as well.
Right. So then I always ask this to my business owners in the fitness industry. Who is your ideal client? Like someone reached out to you or walks in the door. What kind of demographic for any of your businesses just makes you excited to work with them, and you would just do it for free because you're going to have so much fun building value and content for this?
I don't know about doing it for free.
I know. It was, but actually, even in the free thing though, like if you won like $100 million in some I don't know, lottery or something, and then there's a piece of your business you just do for fun because you want to just grow it. Who would that person be?
Someone that's just starting off and need help putting their vision together, putting their strategy together. Because you can kind of tailor and massage them.
You can mold it.
And, marketing and digital marketing and how it works. Everyone has their own like philosophies and strategies and so on and so forth. And I think for me, that client that is just starting out, doesn't even have a logo, doesn't even have a color scheme that they really like, doesn't have a brand vision or a message or mission statement, like that stuff right there excites me because creating it together, right? I would say that would be my ideal client. Also, like with Basil Box. Basil Box came and said, Randy, we're launching our app and we don't know how to launch it. What ideas do you have?
Yes.
And I came and I said, hey, well, why don't we get an athlete, get the athlete using the app, get the athlete talking about the app, and let's do some kind of giveaway. So what we did there, knowing that they needed people to download the app, and as people use the app, they earn points. I came up with the idea like, well, why don't we shoot a small commercial with the Toronto Raptor, which was Rodney Hollis Jefferson, get Rondé as he's working out, and near the end of his workout, he gets to the free throw line, and his trainer goes, gives him the ball and says, hey, make sure you hit these two, or something along. I don't remember the script that we put together, but something along those lines. And Ronnie goes on to say, free throws are free. Then the trainer goes, oh, it's earned, but it's not free. Ronnie goes, you know what else is free? The Basil Box app. And he starts talking.
Right.
But then, you download the app, and I think they got like over 75,000 downloads from this one commercial. Yeah, this commercial didn't even, but understanding, the Raptors and how popular they were, understanding how popular he was, and I got Rondé to donate 2 Raptors tickets to games. So now people are downloading the app to go buy things, get points, and you get a chance to win tickets to the Raptors versus Celtics game, and I think it was the Raptors versus Bucks game, right?
Yes.
So now you're giving people something to do. You're giving them an actual step. You're creating content. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone wins. So things like that excite me. Like, oh, you have a problem? Okay, cool. Let's figure out how to get to a solution.
Yeah. So what's your like actual education background? Like, is this like, how much of this is just like raw talent and this is like technical book knowledge for you?
Shoot. So I actually don't have a college degree.
Okay, congratulations.
Don't have any piece of paper to say that I'm this amount of smart as opposed to this amount of smart.
Yes.
I went to school for sociology with a minor in psych, right?
Okay. Yep.
And those 2 programs are very exciting simply because sociology is like the study of people,
right?
And study of the mind, right? So you put those 2 things together. As a person that is, I'm very big in relationships. I'm very big in investing in people and building relationships. My good friend from Portland, Dodo, he's a farmer, hemp farmer out in Portland, just joined. Shout out to Dodo. Very big in building relationships, and those 2 programs allowed me to see relationships from a different point of view, right? We look at gender, psych of sport, men's psychology, women's psychology, business psych, and it allowed me to see the world differently. I left school early in 2013, moved to the States, and now I'm managing NBA players. But back to what I learned about people, right? Invest, get what you want. So understanding that I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I got into this whole space in 2013, I had to really rely on people and build relationships with people to learn what I wanted to learn. So a lot of this is experience. A lot of this is reading. A lot of this is Google. I remember Anthony Bennett's first basketball camp that we were going to host in Toronto. And, I went and talked to McDonald's and and realized like, hey, do you have a deck? What is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's, it just gets all your information in one thing. It's like a PowerPoint presentation. You guys want me to present? Like, no, we're having a basketball camp. Costs $5,000. If you want to be in there, it's $5,000. Randy, you need to create a deck. I have no idea what a deck is. Right? So a lot of it was try things and it didn't work.
Yes.
Where we now do things and we know what to do. Right?
Yes.
I'm a big believer in just trying it for yourself before you even ask for help. Just try it. And if you fail, you've actually learned that, okay, this doesn't work. So it's not necessarily a failure. It's a lesson learned. Right?
Yes.
So that's how I've lived over the 7-8 years. A lot of research, building relationships with people, understanding and knowing what I don't know. And go find people that do know that stuff. So either one, teach me, or 2, they point me in a direction where I can go learn it myself.
Right. There's a great saying I heard the other day I used online just on Saturday. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom.
It can be. It depends on what stage you ask for help, though. If
Right.
you have tried yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you're asking because you're being lazy, there's no wisdom in that. That's
Right.
like, if you've tried, it hasn't worked, you're like, all right, I don't know where else to go.
Yes.
That's where the
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I commend you on the courage to take those steps and not be afraid to fail along the way, right? Because usually people will just be like,
oh,
okay,
I've been afraid to fail. Trust
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah,
I think the craziest thing about me is when I put programs and projects together, there's always this feeling that I need to feel so I know that it's big enough or it's strong enough.
yes.
Feeling is that fear that, damn, if this doesn't go right, this is going to be terrible. If I don't feel that feeling, I'm like, oh, you're not going hard enough. You're not thinking big enough, right?
Yes,
So what,
yes.
the Athlete Tech Summit, putting that together last year, I was scared shitless. I was scared for 9 months of planning it because
Yes.
I'm not in tech, but I know athletes. So there's a gap here we're trying to bridge. How am I going to bridge this gap? I ultimately bridged it, but I was scared the whole time, even
Yeah.
till the day that it started. We had Mayor Tory come and welcome everybody to the Athlete Tech Summit.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, what if he doesn't show up? Like, what?
Yeah.
These
Yeah. Yeah.
things that I fear and I think about. So it's bigger than, like, you shouldn't be scared. You should be scared. And if it doesn't
Yes.
you, then it's not big enough.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like that. What's that book? Like, feel the fear and do it anyways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And yeah, if we're not doing things that are so big that like we're gonna fall on our face if it doesn't go through, sometimes like yeah, like you said, it's not big enough. We're not dreaming big enough. We're not challenging ourselves. We're not on that growing edge.
Mm-hmm. To add to that point, I think The Last Dance. Hopefully you've seen it.
Oh yes, yes,
Everyone watching has seen this, and if you haven't, I would recommend you do watch it. Not because Michael Jordan is this big star and won championships and da da da. The thing that I take from that, and I watch The Last Dance 2-3 times a week. While I'm eating, I'll just put it on. While I'm doing work, just put it on. Why? Because you see how Michael Jordan challenges himself every day.
yes,
He would lie to himself
yes.
just to say, oh, I got to get going. This guy said something to me. I don't like what he said. I got to
Love
get.
that. Yes,
Oh, you said this. You're not going to shake my hand. I got to get going. And it's that type of mindset that made him who he was. As much as he was this ultra competitive person, it was because he was finding ways to challenge himself. Remember
yes.
about gambling on the plane, $10,000 bets, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 bets
Great.
from New York to Chicago. You're on a plane for an hour, if that.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
money's being exchanged like that. Michael would leave his $20,000 bet table and go play with the guys that are playing for 10, $20. And he would just want to play. Why? Because he wanted to challenge himself. And two, he just wanted to win that bad. So it wasn't
Yes.
a prize. He wasn't worried about the prize. He needed to find a way to beat you in that moment. And if he
Yes.
found multiple ways to beat you time and time and time after time and time and time again, at the end of 48 minutes of an NBA game, and you look up, I won.
Yes.
But he's not focused on, the last minute. It starts as soon as the game starts.
Right.
I'm challenging you to beat you every time. Sometimes I'll lose, sometimes I'll win. But I'm finding challenges to overcome. And
Yes.
that's the thing about that documentary that just blows my mind. I'm like, how? Because you
Yes.
energy that takes
So
to
much energy.
so much energy out of you to build these microcosms. Like,
Yes. A narrative. You're writing a narrative to win.
yeah, you're building a case against somebody that
Yes.
didn't do anything. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
they're wearing a different jersey than you, and you hate them. You hate them
Yes.
so much, you're gonna do whatever it takes to beat them. And at
Yes.
the end of the game, you'll shake their hand like, "Yo, great game. You didn't know what I went through in my head."
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
challenge yourself every single day.
Yes.
I think is one thing that's going to continue to push people and push people forward.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt, man. And that motivation, like, we talk about a lot about that in this industry, is like it's one thing to motivate people. It's another thing to find people that have that motivation from internally. And now I'm coming alongside you with your motivation. Those are two different things. Like what you just talked about was an internal, like a fire from the inside out.
Hmm? You hit it
You
right
know,
on.
so yeah, that's good stuff, man.
You hit it right on the head. Yeah, man. I think. I mean, I know, you run a Pilates studio. You have, small business owners here, an entrepreneur, all different types of people. Um, Regardless of what stage you are in life, whether you're in school, you're a senior, retired, your mindset dictates so much. How you
Yes.
how you view the world, how you understand the world dictates so much. How you see problems dictates so much. I look at business from the angle of creating solutions to problems. That's it. If
Yes.
there's a problem, there's a solution. No, no, I'm on the no. Okay. Thanks. I got some cream of wheat.
There you go. Breakfast of champions right there.
Um, Regardless of where you are in life, with as long as you're finding ways to grow,
Yes.
challenge every day,
Yes.
you'll be fine.
Right.
That I wholeheartedly believe that.
Mhm.
And challenging yourself comes in multitudes of ways, right?
Yes.
Picking,
Yes.
reading that new book, connecting with someone you don't know, and like just doing things you're not comfortable with
Hmm.
because you want to grow. Growth
Yeah.
comes with being uncomfortable.
Right.
There's no other way to put it. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. And that's I was going to ask you your closing thoughts, and you just summarize it beautifully right there. We need to continue to just grow and get better like every day. And a little story for you. I used to have this band, and one of my mentors had given it to me to a bunch of us at this talk. It said "Better Every Day." Had that on for like years and years and years because that's just my mindset, just like we just shared. And one day it broke, right? And because I wore this thing out, I had probably had it on my wrist for like 5 years, and just to kind of have that internal, external reminder. And then I had these three guys come in, my dad and two other gentlemen who come in like 5 o'clock every Wednesday morning for Pilates with me, and they are just dedicated. So I was sharing the story that this band broke, and one of the guys said, he goes like, well, it broke because you have it on the inside now. You don't need an external reminder anymore because you have it on the inside now.
That's facts.
And that's
Every day. There's we all have the same 24 hours. And my man, I think as great as people will come and celebrate me and say that Randy, you're this and you're that. What I'm doing, I don't think is that big in my mind. In my mind, I don't look at it as, oh yeah, you're the founder of 3 companies and you did this and you did that. I just look at it as I'm finding ways to solve problems.
yes,
That's
yeah,
right, and I'm finding ways to have an impact.
yeah,
That's as simple as it is. And I don't want to put myself as if I'm better than anyone, or I've done anything better than anyone. I'm a big believer in these habits, building and creating every single day. I'm
yes,
always for ways to outcompete myself.
yes,
It's very hard for me to compete with people because I don't know other Randys that have 3 businesses and a nonprofit and is able to do some of the things that I do.
yep,
And I
yep,
say that very humble. Like I don't
mm-hmm.
know that has their hands in in an annual women's event. Also has their hands in an annual climate change event. Also has their hands in um, helping the tech community grow. Like there's
Yes,
not many people. So for me to sit here and compare myself to anybody, one, that's wasting time. That's taking time
absolutely.
building what I need to build and focusing on what I need to focus. I do want to give everybody a book recommendation that's really helped me.
Okay,
It's right here called
yes, deep work.
Work. Amazing, amazing, amazing read.
What
Probably
is
one.
the author? I'll put it in the comment section here.
It's It's by Cal Newport, and it's Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. And we're all living in a distracted world, from COVID
Yes.
to Black Lives Matter to
Yes.
friends, family, relationships, social media. Everything's a distraction. Everything.
Yes.
But how do you get the most out of yourself? How do you sit down for an hour and within an hour figure out so much within that same hour, this same hour that we just took?
Yes.
Someone just figured out $1 million idea. But
Yes.
what does your creative process look like? This book right here, it's so good. I haven't even finished it. And I don't want to finish it. I'm only on page 105.
Yes.
And there's 263 pages. I'm scared to read this because I don't want to finish it.
You're hugging the book right now. You realize that, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So this book right here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So good.
That's great, man. Yeah, exactly. And that's like, I love what you're saying about distractions. There's so many things that we need to create space, right? Create space so we can zero in on the things that are most important to us and most effective uses of our time, man. So good. Randy, thank you so much for your time today, man.
No problem, man. Love what you're doing. Keep it going. I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but if someone were to ask, you kind of look like an older Kobe Bryant.
You know who I get, man? I get Gary Payton all the time.
I see a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, going. Definitely
you,
gonna pick you up on that offer. I've never tried Pilates. I heard it's hard as hell.
Yep.
Once again, I'll challenge myself to try.
Yes, sir. Well, actually, it's funny that you say that. Like one of the iterations of this core conversations is to pick you up in my Porsche, bring you down for Porsche and Pilates. So we talk on the way down, talk business on the way up, do our Pilates, and drive back. So that when this world opens up, that'll probably be the next summer project. So it'll be a fun time.
Sounds good. Let me know, man. Let me know how I keep going. If there's anything I can help with, please do let me know.
All right, man. We cheer for you, man. Thank you, sir.
You as well. Thanks again.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for joining us today on Core Conversations. This organic platform has been made possible by amazing people like yourself. So if you're a Pilates instructor or a movement specialist of some kind and you want to be a guest, please message me. If you're in some other field and the messages just resonate with you, message me. I'd love to have you on. All of our messages connect, and for some reason, they all help us in this battle. We're all in this game together, so I'd love to hear from you. Let your words be life to someone else. Check out our website, personalvictory.ca. Click the Core Conversations page to see who our upcoming guests are, and I will see you next time on Core Conversations.